In this video, I'm going to show you how you can work with files in Adobe XD and with which files and file types can you actually work in Adobe XD. So if we switch to Adobe XD, I can go right here to home, or I can hit File, Open, then it's going to open from my cloud documents. I can open from my computer, or I can simply drag and drop an image, an icon, or whatever else I want inside of Adobe XD, and it's going to open it that way. So if that's something that you want to do, then you can do it as well. So if I locate one image, I can simply drag and drop it like this. It's going to position inside of my artboard. I can hit Shift and I can scale it like this, or I can hit Shift Alt and scale it into one of the corners like we mentioned previously for these shapes. Finally, what I can do with images especially is if I create this placeholder with a rectangle, I can drag the image and drop it inside, and it's going to populate inside. And because we covered masks already, this is masked. So when I double click, you can see I can click to reposition the placement of this guy on a bike, but when I click outside, you cannot see the rest of the image because it's masked inside of the shape. Finally, if I double click, I want to increase it even more. I can hold my Shift key, for example, to increase it like this. I can hold my Shift to position it like this, and now when I click outside, you can see how that looks like there. So this is basically how you work with different images. You can also work with different icons and icon types. You can work with PNG, SVG, JPEG, so you can do whatever you want with all of these basic file types. But what I also want to show you is this. You can work obviously with Adobe XD files, and these are all the XD files which I'm planning to create for the future tutorials. So guys, stay tuned to access all of these website tutorials. If I click on your computer, you can see Photoshop or AI. So this is Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. Obviously, these files are going to work much better than with something like Sketch. Sketch files are able to be opened in Adobe XD, but just make sure to understand there are going to be some bugs because they are not native files. Especially Sketch is Mac only, and it's not part of Adobe's family, so it's completely different company that created Sketch. So when you try to open a file which is not intended for Windows, for example, or for Adobe XD at all, it's going to have some bugs eventually. So this feature is created by Adobe team. So Adobe XD team did create this feature. It's a regular important feature, but just make sure to understand not all Sketch functions are going to work in Adobe XD. So it's going to import it. It is going to work, but sometimes you're going to lose some components, some component states and stuff like that. For Photoshop and Illustrator, it's going to work just fine. It's going to work perfectly fine because they are native Adobe file types for Photoshop and Illustrator, and obviously it's going to work just fine. For XD, it's going to obviously work as it should because that's XD document. So if I create and click here, because this is just one website which I created, I don't know, months ago for another presentations on my own YouTube channel. So if I click right here and then right here, you can see that we have these multiple artboards, multiple elements. And now if I want to switch between my elements, you can see I have two files open. So I have this file and I have my original file. They are going to show as tabs on your Windows, and on your Mac obviously are going to be on top. And of course, if you want, for example, I can click on this girl, hit Ctrl C, click right here, hit Ctrl V, and I'm going to place it right here and position it right here. Also, what you can do is, if I go back to here, what I can do is right click, I can copy, and then I can right click, paste appearance, and it's going to paste the background color of that artboard. Of course, that artboard has multiple layers inside. So if I click right here, you can see we have background color, we have blurs and all of these things, but of course you can choose these. So blur circle, for example, and blur color. I can hit Ctrl C with multiple layers, select this artboard, Ctrl V, and simply move them to the back. And this is what we have right now. We have all of these elements which are the same as in that artboard that we originally copied it from. So this is how easy it is to work with these shapes, with these file types, and with all of these things. So make sure to understand whenever you're opening sketch file formats, for example, just make sure to understand that not all of the things are going to work just fine. You have sometimes to adjust all of these things in order for them to work as intended. So with Photoshop, with Illustrator, and especially with XD files, everything is going to work just fine. As I said, you can open JPEG, PNG images, you can even drag and drop PDFs if you want to. You can open up PNG files for images and SVG, and I always recommend, if you're working with icons, to work with SVG icons, because the quality and the output is going to be much better than with PNG. In the next video, I'm going to share these 3 crucial tabs, so design, prototype, and share, and why each of them is useful. So I'll see you there.